Are you as bad as I am sometimes when it comes to predicting how long it's going to take for me to get through with something, to finish something that I started? Most of the time I think it's going to, just take me an hour or so. And it usually ends up taking half a day or sometimes even a whole day to do something I thought was just going to take an hour. Well, this is kind of a bigger problem than just, underestimating how long it's going to take to do something. The problem sometimes is that we are trying to treat the symptom more than we are trying to understand or treat the problem, the actual disease or the actual problem that we have in our life. Kind of like the addict who you try to treat just their symptom. You try to get them off the street and into a house or into a place that they can rest, a place that they can be fed and take a shower. Well, that only lasts for a little bit until they go back to their addiction. Until they understand that they have an addiction or a problem, they are probably not going to change because you were treating the symptom and not the actual problem. I believe that's what the Lord had in mind when he told Moses in Deuteronomy chapter 7 to tell the people of Israel to not make marriages with those who inhabited the land of Canaan after they went and conquered it and took over it. In Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse number 3, it says, "Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, the people of the land. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, or his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son." Why? Why would God say that? Is he just harsh? Is he just somebody who is unreasonable? Who won't allow others' ideas to compete with him? Why would God make that decision? He gives the answer in verse number 4. "For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, hath the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh the king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack for him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face." Now, earlier in the book of Deuteronomy, it talks about the sins of the father being visited on the children unto the third and to the fourth generation. That was in the negative sense. In the positive sense, he says, I will visit, verse number 9, "The faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that loveth him, and keepeth his commandments to 1,000 generations." People often like to make the God of the Old Testament to be out, to be someone out to make him out to be someone who is harsh and who is unreasonable. and who is just this dictator, this tyrant, this God who wants to throw his way. But he says here that in the book of Deuteronomy that he visits the sins to the third and fourth generation, the sins of the fathers. He will visit it on the sons of the daughters to the third and the fourth generation. But whenever he talks about the positive sense, those who love him, those whose heart is perfect towards him and who keep his commandments, he will visit goodness unto them for thousands to 1,000 generations. Now, why would God give the warning that rubbing elbows, or more than just rubbing elbows, but joining and uniting with the people of the world, the pagans, the heathens, those who have their own gods, those who have made other gods, those who serve a false god? Why would he give a warning for us to stay away from them or to not join league with them? Well, in 2 Corinthians, chapter 2, let me find it here. Or actually, in chapter 6, verse number 14, it says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, as God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters with the Lord Almighty." Now, we often like to refer or reference that verse that says, "Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers." We all often like to think of that in a marital sense, about getting married or having a relationship with someone who is not a believer. I believe the passage there goes far deeper than just a marital relationship, but having business relationships, having personal, deep relationships with unbelievers. God understands that we are to be in this world, and let's remember that even Christ himself made friends with sinners and called sinners his friend. And it's funny how the Pharisees, the religious, called him sinner, but the sinner in the New Testament called him friend. But never once did Jesus excuse their sin. Never once did he gloss over it. But he addressed it. He confronted it. He confronted the sin. And he showed them a better way, showed them a way out. It's not our job to we should not be so much like the world and so much like the people of the world that you can't tell the difference between the two. But we're also not supposed to be so separated from the world that we have no relationships with them. So where is the balance then? The balance is having a relationship with those. And as a Christian, I think we've all experienced that time in our life where our relationship with an unbeliever could only go so far. there was a wall there. There was something there where we couldn't go any further in that relationship with that person because they were an unbeliever. Not because we didn't want it to happen, not because we didn't want to be good friends with that person, but because of what they were doing, their actions, the way they were acting, and how they were behaving was not something that we as Christians should do. And I think we've all experienced that. And that's what God's talking about, is there needs to be a line. There needs to be a separation. We have to draw the line somewhere as Christians. Some of us choose to draw the line, a little bit to the right. Some of us draw the line a little bit to the left. Nobody's necessarily perfect in the line that they draw. But we need to understand that our relationship with unbelievers can only go so far. And when we give them too much, when we allow that relationship to go so far, we take away from our effectiveness as Christians with those people. And with telling them and with being that effective Christian witness and testimony that they need to see. Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. That's more than just a marital relationship. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, he says this, "For we are unto God a sweet savor of Christ in them that are saved," our brothers and sisters in Christ, "and in them that perish." We are to be a sweet savor to those who don't believe. We can't be so much like them to where there's no difference in our life and their life. There needs to be a line where we draw where they have to see something different. They have to sense a savor of God in our life unto them that perish and to them that are saved. We know how to have a relationship with those who are saved. There's a common bond there. We already have an automatic something in common with another child of God. Or with an unbeliever, there's a little bit different relationship there. And there has to be a line, but we are still to be a sweet savor to God, not to be someone who pushes them away from God, but someone who draws them to God. Now, there are those who are scorners. There are those who truly do not want to know. But there are those who do want to know. And if you are not in that position to make the right decision, to make the right choice, to draw that line, well, then perhaps we failed as Christians. Maybe we underestimated what it would take. Let's be careful whenever it comes to our relationship with unbelievers, not to take it too far. And because we care so much, because we want them to come to Christ, sometimes we cross the line a little bit and go too far. And we lose that effectiveness. We lose that line of differentiation between their life and our life. Sometimes we lose that line. That line gets blurred. We get into a little bit of gray area. Let's hold the line. Let's keep it right. And let's continue to be the salt and the light that you and I are called to be. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the truths in your word that we can take and that we can hold on to. Please help us, Lord, to be able to know when to draw the line in our life. Please help us to know when we should say no to certain things and say yes to certain things. But help us always, always, Lord, if we are going to err on any side, help us to err on the side of righteousness. Err on the side of you rather than on unrighteousness, because there is no fellowship of light with darkness. Help us, Father, to obey you and keep your commandments. And help us, Father, to be the light that we need to be in this world. First